Hi, it's Megan. So I veer back and forth between too much color, color and a super neutral nude look. And I was recently up in San Francisco and I was giving this presentation and I stopped at Macy's after and I was playing around with the makeup and I realized, you know, I went way too neutral and it wasn't as flattering as sometimes having some color can be. So I was very excited when Urban Decay came out with this electric palette. And so this is what it looks like. It's in this plastic case and it comes in a cute little box with the colors on the back, 10 colors. And these are our full size, I think, shadows. It's $49 for 0.4 ounces. And the full size shadows are usually 0.05, so it's almost full size. And it does come with a warning inside that some of these shadows are not safe for use around the eye area. These would be Slow Burn, which is this one right here, Savage, which is right there, Jilted, and Urban. Jilted and Urban. So I'm going to talk about this for a second and then I'm going to get through the video beginning really fast and then I'll go into more detail on each individual color. Just because sometimes people don't want to see like a super long video and then other people want to get more detail, so I'm going to do like a quick review, a quick talk of the color thing, and then at the end I will go through the shades color by color and tell you what I think of them. So as far as the safety issue, these are approved outside the US, they're not approved here. Other companies have the same kind of colors that are approved here. I wouldn't say take this lightly. My right eye is recovering from having just been infected and I know exactly what did it. Like the day before, 2 days before, I dabbed this brush of makeup right in my eye and lo and behold, 36 hours later, it was this puffy mess. So I wouldn't say ignore it. I recently had to return a palette, not from Urban Decay, but from another company for the first time because it irritated my eyes. These have not irritated my eyes at all. I tried them out for a couple of days. Yes, I didn't put them on my affected eye, I promise. I put them on the other eye and I had no problem. So it's kind of a personal thing. You have to decide. I haven't had any problems, but I don't think people should ignore it completely. I did use one of the colors on my cheeks right now, and I'm going to fix that in a second. So I use Savage on my cheeks, and at first I used a blush brush and that was a disaster. So when I used a fan brush, I was able to just get on a soft enough color. I think if you like really pigmented fuchsia kind of blushes, this is perfect. What I would do in real life is take some bronzer like this and mute it out a little bit. So there, now I'm happy. And I also wouldn't wear this as a blush if you're doing a bright eye like what I have right now. So what I did on the eye, I basically picked some colors and I'll show you in a second, but I wanted to show a more natural look as much as you can with bright colors like this, only because when I look at some of these other reviews online, what I see is just the most beautiful art, but first of all, I don't have time to do that every day. Next of all, I'm not going to wear those types of colors that bright out on the street. So I decided to show here a more natural muted look, which is not actually easy because these are such beautiful, pigmented, rich, amazing colors. And then when I'm done with most of the video, I will turn the camera off, use my Naked One palette, and do kind of a more neutral look with just kind of a little touch of color, which is how, honestly, I'll probably use this more. Instead of using all the colors at the same time for a really vivid look, I'll probably incorporate these colors into more neutral palettes to do what I started talking about at the beginning of the video, which is kind of open up my eyes, brighten up my face, and just get that extra like wow factor instead of looking a little too dull, which we can sometimes do when we play it a little too safe, or at least I can. So what did I think? So I got 10 shades called Electric for a reason. They call them pressed pigments. So these are the 10 shades, and then there's a brush which I did play around with. I actually use the brushes in these palettes. This is like a fine shadow brush, and this is like a little liner brush. This actually is a brush I would use for this palette because you need a brush that you can, or I need a brush that I can dab and get small amounts of this color and then put it in very precise places on my eyes because they are that rich and that pigmented. So I actually have not been using a primer with it. First, Urban Decay, you don't always need a primer because the shadows are such great quality. And then second, these are so pigmented. I find that when I use a primer under really pigmented shadows, I get bolder color, and I want to mute these, not bold them up. They are so bold to begin with. So I do have outdoor swatches, and you'll see in those outdoor swatches what they look like. I did them in the 5 rows. So now you're gonna get my other, wait a second, Urban Decay, what were you thinking? I really love these. I think they are just so gorgeous, pigmented. Like with one swipe, you get this beautiful swatch. The colors are bright, but they are totally workable for most people. You know, some are obviously better for others. But some of these, they say that there's like a variety, what did they say? Variety of textures. Yeah, they say it's a Color Addict's ultimate fix, a mind-blowing palette filled with 10 of the brightest, most amazing shades you've ever laid eyes on, including 8 never-before-seen shades you won't find anywhere else. Okay, that's all true, plus a double-ended brush. Choose from matte, satin, and shimmer textures. Okay, no, totally don't agree. So the only one, in my opinion, that's totally matte is this pink right here, which I need my little box, which is Savage. And that's what I've got in my cheeks, and I don't have it on my eyes. The rest of the ones that are called matte have something called kind of a tonal pearl. And when I looked at my swatches outside, I'm like, this isn't matte. I mean, they're matte colors, but then they have a tonal pearl. And I guess this is Urban Decay's way of saying it's just got a tiny little bit of shimmery glimmer, not those big chunky glimmer things that they sometimes use, but just this tiny little bit of shimmer. So to me, matte doesn't have little bits of shimmer in it. Most of these mattes do. So that's fine by me, but I'm just saying, I'm not sure that's an accurate description. So here are the shades, and I'm going to go through them one by one in a second, but first I want to say I was actually surprised at how much I like this palette. I really like bright colors a lot, so I was excited, and I read some reviews which said it was really blue based, and I like blue based, so I was okay with that. But then there was complaints about I think it needs a white, other people think it needs a yellow, you know, all these things to make it more of a standalone palette. I would definitely not use this very often as a standalone palette. Sometimes I really like putting just a bright wash of one color on my eyelid and then a little bit partway under my my lower lashes. When I'm in a hurry, I think it's really pretty, it brightens up my face, and I do a really neutral face otherwise, so I could do that, but for the most part, I'm just not going to be mixing these colors together very much. What I will be doing is I'll be using it, let me grab a brush, I'll be using it like in the outer crease, like this, either going all the way and taking that outer kind of quarter of the eye, and then right under the lower lid, I'll go into the crease, I'll line underneath, I'll even line the upper lash. Those are my favorite tricks. Sometimes I used to, when I was younger, just put a dab of orange right in the corner and then blend it. So those are all little tricks I would use. I probably won't be using a lot of these together in a look every day. So what did I think of the colors? First of all, there's Revolt, which I want to show you my pan. I don't clean these up before I do the reviews. I'm not trying to make this look like a perfect palette. I'm just trying to show you. So this one is a little chunky. It kind of messed up my palette a little bit, which is fine. I love how Urban Decay does these silvers. So they describe it as a bright metallic silver shimmer with silver glitter. So that's what it looks like. I love these kind of shades. Personally, they just open up my eyes. They brighten up my eyes. What I do with them, right here, I touched with a big brush. Every time I use these shadows today, I touched. I did not get a big swatch to put on my eyes because, like I said, I was trying to make this a more wearable look instead of a more artistic, richly pigmented look, something I would actually wear. And I'm going to be bummed to take it off and put on a different look because I actually really like it. But I can do it later. So I took the silver and I just dabbed it here with a big brush. I took a little tiny brush, which is mostly all I used with this palette today, and I just got the inner corners a little bit, and then I just dabbed a little here to open up and brighten up the eyes. I love the Urban Decay silvers for that. There is no other brand, in my opinion, that I have found silvers that work quite as well on me with just the right amount of glitter that just totally open up my eyes. I know not everyone agrees with me on that, but it's one of my favorite things that Urban Decay does. So it's like a light medium silver. It's got a micro glitter silver, but it is pretty almost metallic, and I'm not a big metallic fan, but it doesn't quite cross into metallic. And it does have a lot of glitter. It does have a little fallout, little kind of drops of glitter sometimes. So this is probably the toughest shadow for some people. I really like these kind of shadows. I'm fine with it. And I think this was in the Anarchy palette, and I loved it in the Anarchy palette too. So other people didn't, I did. The next shade is Gonzo. which is a bright turquoise matte with floating tonal pearl. So inside you won't see the floating pearl the way you can in the outdoor swatches that I have. It's a really amazing, amazing color. This one, what I will do with it, I'll show you what I did do with it, and I'll show you what I will do with it. So I basically used mostly two brushes. I used this little tiny liner brush right here, really little one, for lining under the eye, and I will get to that in a minute. And then I use this other tiny little brush to really apply very precisely, dotting on the colors I wanted, and then I blended after that. That's how pigmented these are. If I had just taken a regular blush, a regular brush, that's what it would have looked like on my eye, which is more bright than I wanted to do. For a picture it's fine, but I wouldn't actually wear it. So I took this shade and I dotted it in the outer third on my lid. I did not go much in the crease, just a little bit, and then I kind of blended it with the color that I have here a little bit to kind of meld the colors together. I'll get there in a minute. So that was Gonzo. It's a medium blue. It's also got this micro shimmer. It does look very matte-ish on, but it does have that shimmer in the sun. And I like the texture of all of these. Pressed pigments, they don't really feel like pressed pigments to me, honestly, except for Revolt. Pressed pigments to me tend to be a little bit more sandy and breakable. These really feel a lot like just a regular shadow, and I guess to me they feel more like the, what were they called? The deluxe shadows that they had a little while ago. But anyway, so that was Gonzo. Now Slow Burn. Strange color to me. It seems a little coral. I see the red orange, but I also see a little bit of a coral undertone. It's kind of like a dark coral, I think, to me. And it has the floating pearl as well. It has kind of a weird combinations of colors. What I like to do with a color like this, there are two things I would do with it. One, I would dot it up here into the outer crease. I might dot it halfway in and then blend it with another color. I might put it just a little tiny bit under my eye into the lower lash, but I wouldn't go very far because something like this can make me look like I've got a red eye. Or I would brush it on, dot it on very lightly on my lid. I might also, if I had like a gray smoky eye look going on, I might dot a little bit right in here. You can do it with brown too, but I like a little bit better with gray. A little bit right here on the, just to open up the eye, really brighten up that darkness and get rid of it. Or I would even mix a little bit of the orange in with the black or the gray liner that I used on the bottom. So those are the first three. The next one is Savage, a bright hot pink matte, and this is the only one that looked to me like a real matte. And this I would do the same thing as I would do with the orange, but mostly I would put that under, mixing it in with a black or a brown liner on the bottom. It even works alone, but I like it better, a little bit softer mixed in with the darker color, and the gray is especially really pretty. And I wouldn't go all the way in here because if you get into the inner eye it starts looking a little red. This also can be blended into the outer crease, and if you really want a wild look, you can put a little bit right in the inner crease here. Probably not an everyday thing, but it's kind of fun. This color I like. The next color, so here we've got them. The next color is Fringe. This is a bright metallic teal. It's a medium dark kind of blue teal, and it's got that metallic finish. Again, this is a really smooth, they're just really smooth, easy to apply. So this one I took my little liner brush and I dotted it. I mean, when I'm taking the brush, what I'm really doing to get just some color is just dotting it like this on the palette, and that gives me enough color. So I was gonna do this wet, but then it was so dark and bright and dry, there's no reason to wet the shade. I put it underneath my eye like this, all the way in to the inner eye, dotting it, and then after that I still had to take a smudging brush and kind of smudge it a little bit so it wasn't too dark and bold. That's how bold these shadows are. Okay, next one is Chaos. So I have the original Vice. Chaos was one of my favorite shades too. I guess it's one of the most highly coveted shades according to Urban Decay. It's such a pretty color. This one is more matte, even though it's got, my arm was wet so it's not swatching right. This one's more matte, even though it has that little shimmer to it. And with this, what I did, again, very carefully dotting, I took my little tiny brush and I dotted it up in the crease like this and then kind of blended it in with the liner just to get, and I could even do it a little bit darker and it would still be really pretty. I just really was trying. Everyone knows you can do a bright look with a palette like this, and there are like a million demos online of that, so I just wanted to do something a little more wearable, a little bit more wearable. So it's a cobalt blue with a matte base and then this little shimmer thing going on. It's just such a pretty color. Jilted, I don't know, Jilted is not my favorite color. I just don't like these reddish purples as much sometimes. They can give me that red eye look, but it's a really pretty color. This is like such a typical Urban Decay color, and this has a really kind of undertone to it out in the sunlight, which is actually quite stunning. I have to be careful with a shade like this that I don't get kind of that red eye. So what I would do is, and I would use it as a lower eyeliner, just a very thin line. I would use it sometimes alone on my lid, very light, and then a little bit under partway lining. So they call it a bright metallic fuchsia with blue shift, fuchsia berry, and it's slightly frosty, and that's it. Is it orchid? Or color of the year? It's more berry. Urban Decay does a lot of colors like this. I have a bunch of them from Urban Decay. It is pretty. And again, you can mix that with the grays and it just looks stunning. It's a way of like taking a smoky eye look or a darker kind of mix and just going wow. The next one I really love. It's called Urban. They call it a bright metallic purple. So it has kind of like a pinky red undertone. Yeah, see, when I've been using a wipe, and this has definitely kind of a frosted metallic look to it. Right there. It's beautiful as a liner. Really beautiful as a liner. And again, these are just beautiful, buttery, smooth, creamy, amazing shadows. You can see that I have a little bit of a stain, and that is from Savage. Freak is a bright green with gold shift, and that's right here. And I love this shade. This I will play around with a lot. This will be one of my favorites. So again, I took a little brush like this, and this is dotted right in the middle part of my eye, and you can see it's not so bright when you just dot it on. If you do it like that, that's what you get. And then I took a little silver and just put it right in there. One of my favorite colors in the whole palette. It's like a light medium green. It's kind of cool. It's got this gold undertone. So because it's got that gold, it's like almost a warmer green than you would think. Really pretty. The Rash is the last shade. And okay, these are kind of fun shades. I actually wore this to yoga once. A friend of mine said there's no way you can wear that. It's just not going to work. And I actually, not this particular one, but a similar shade right there. That, they call it a bright lime green matte with floating gold pearl. And you know what? I made it work. The way I made it work was by just very carefully doing what I did here, which was putting it just in the inner eye and then right under the line. So it's going in that inner corner. And then there's like a little bit going under my, as an eyeliner. And you can do that as an eyeliner. It actually is very pretty, this type of shade. Yes, it's kind of bright, but it really opens up your eye to use something like this as a liner. And this I love with the grays as well, using it kind of with a smoky. I also like it with blues. I really like it with browns, probably the best. So it's kind of light medium, yellow, chartreuse, and then it has kind of, again, this sort of shimmery thing over a matte. And I had no problems with this shade whatsoever applying. So this is the whole collection. I'm going, or the whole whatever list of shadows. I really mostly only used these little tiny brushes, and then I blended with this brush right here, and I dotted on and blended with this brush. I'll turn off the video and I'm gonna do a more natural look with using the Naked palette, mixing some colors in. And by the way, on my lips right now I use Naked 2 as a lipstick. You could also, I would also use with this particular color combination a more coral based nude look, but I just didn't want to look for a coral kind of shade right now, and this lets the eyes shine, and you can see that it's very subtle even though the colors are as bright as they are. I just wanted to show two eyes, two different looks on two different eyes using different colors. And if people want me to do a tutorial on more ways of using this palette, not to make kind of bright looks because everyone can do that, but just to do something that's a little bit more natural, a way of incorporating it. So I picked the two colors that I think are the hardest to use, these two right here, the Slow Burn and the Savage. I used the third hardest color right here in the last look, so I figured I would take these. So what I've done basically is I've used the Naked palette, and they've kind of started cutting trees here, and they're gonna be doing it all afternoon, so I just want to finish this video real fast. If you hear that in the background, I'm really sorry. So I took the Naked palette, and I just took the most basic colors, just this cream, and then kind of the basic taupe. Cream up here, the taupe on my lid, and then I lined the top line with the dark gray, and then I took the lighter blue, and I just used that as a liner under. And then I put a little bit of the gray in the corner here with the pink, because I want to show you how beautifully they blend in with the smokier browns or grays, and I just decided to stick with the Naked palette since that's Urban Decay too. Then I took the little brush and I took Slow Burn, the orange, and I just incorporated that into the line on the lower side. That's the lighter gray, which is Gunmetal, and then creeps the one up here. And then I took the orange, and you could do I would do one of two things. Here I just incorporated it all into the crease, but what I've also done is just put it right here in the outer crease or in the outer corner. And so you see you get kind of an eye-opening look. And then here I did the same thing basically with Savage. I took the pink, and I should have done it the other way around because this is the eye that's slightly pink anyway, so it's going to look a little pinker than normal, but I blended that in, and then you can see with the gray it takes on almost this purplish, it's a pink fuchsia to begin with, but it takes on this purplish look. And then my eyes just look very natural-ish, but a little bit brighter or more eye-catching. And that's actually what I did at Macy's after my speech. It was with a red, and I put that on. I'm like, wow, it looks so much better than just the brown alone. So I love this palette. Like I said, a lot of these brighter colors can be used as liners. They can be used just on your lid, very pretty. You can use a brighter lip. I would not, if you're toning down the whole look, I would not use the Savage as, or the Slow Burn as a blush if you're doing bright eyes. But other than that, I think it's perfect. I like this palette better than I expected. I was really excited about the brights, but seeing how pigmented and richly pigmented and buttery and blendable and beautiful they are, and how easy it is to get either a bold look or a more natural look using them, I'm actually, I have to admit, more impressed than I thought. So if you have this and have feedback or thoughts, I would love to hear it. Suggestions if I should do some more tutorials on getting more natural looks with this palette. I don't know, I think the crazy looks, there's plenty of tutorials on that, but I guess I could do those as well. And subscribe, and on YouTube I have my novel masks, chapter by chapter, which is about makeup and the masks we wear, and I think that's it. Overall I give this an A, not an A+, and I say it is not a must-have, but a wanna-have, and really fun. Thanks. Hi, I did one more look with the palette because I had two different color eyeshadows on, like red on one and orange on the other, and so, or orange red on the other, pink, orange red, whatever. So I just did one more look and I figured I'd put it on camera. So this time what I did is I took the Slow Burn and used it as a blush, and I really like it as a blush. It's very pretty. Very pigmented. I softened it, and then I took the two purples. So I took Urban, and I put that on my lid, going up a little bit into the crease. And then I took Jilted and lined my lower line, making sure that not to get it into my eye. And by the way, when I got this infected, it wasn't with this palette, it was with a different palette, not Urban Decay. Then I took the Urban again and just kind of blended it into the outer corner. I like when I do a line like that with a different color up here that's kind of tonally similar, just to blend the two colors together. And then I took Chaos and I used that as an upper liner, and again blended that just into the corner a little. And then I did just a tiny bit of Revolt, the silver, up here, just touching it on a tiny little bit. Again, using very, very light hand. If you want this to be super pigmented, it can be. This is about as light as I can make it, and I didn't use a primer. So that's it.